So, fear is not the path to the dark side. One of the most famous Yoda lines out of all the Star Wars movies is in Star Wars Episode 1, where he says to a young Anakin Skywalker, "Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. I sense much fear in you." And I'll link to a video clip of that below, so you can rewatch it, with an actual Yoda voice. But it's a very famous line, one of the more famous lines out of all of the Star Wars movies in general, and, very quotable and catchy, but you guys, it's wrong. Because fear, okay, he's emphasizing that it's really dangerous, it's the path to the dark side. Maybe, but there's no acknowledgement of all the positive that comes out of fear as well. To put this in context, Anakin has just left home. He's left his mom, he's left his friends, he's left the planet, the only planet he's ever known. So, who in that situation would not be afraid? That's just natural. That's human nature to be afraid when you're tossed into a brand new scenario. And when you are tossed into a brand new scenario, whether you're moving, starting a new job, going to school, joining a club, who knows, like in our real life. In any of those situations, it'll make you nervous because it's just not what you're used to. And that doesn't mean that it's bad for you. In fact, that can mean that it will be very good for you because you're doing something out of your comfort zone. So fear is a very good tool that way. It's kind of reminding you, hey, I'm exiting my comfort zone, but at the same time, this is a very good opportunity for me to grow as a person. The other way that fear can be used in a very positive way is it can alert you to danger. So in Star Wars, we think of the Force, people having a bad feeling. That's one of the common lines in Star Wars. Although it's used by both Force users and non-Force users, so there you go. But we kind of think of it as people like Jedi or whoever feeling a disturbance in the Force, right? And then that's why they feel the fear. But if you think about your own life, you've probably had moments where you're somewhere, maybe you're walking on the sidewalk and you sort of have a bad feeling, right? The hairs on the back of your neck stand up and you just don't want to be there anymore. Well, that's kind of your own Spidey sense, your own Force abilities in a way. You're not a Jedi, it's not really the Force, it's a survival mechanism that's built into human beings, where sometimes we can feel fear even if we can't totally pinpoint why, and it's because we've processed some different things about the environment or the people around us that make us uncomfortable. So that's a very valuable emotion to follow because you can remove yourself from harm's way if you get that feeling, and especially when it's really easy to change what you're doing. Like if you're walking on one side of the street and there's something you feel uneasy for some reason, you can just cross the street, no big deal. And that might save you from, I don't know, someone mugging you or whatever this feeling is, you can just cross the street. And there are a lot of other situations like that where this emotion can help you remove yourself from a situation that could escalate into something worse. So, fear is so valuable, you guys. To recap, it helps you grow because it lets you know that you're exiting your comfort zone. And fear also can be sort of your Spidey sense to cross over, into Spider-Man territory. It's like your little Spidey sense that can protect you from potential harm. So Yoda is only emphasizing that it'll lead you to the dark side. And, maybe fear can make people do bad things, but fear also leads to many good things. And I think Yoda and just the Star Wars series as a whole doesn't necessarily emphasize that very much. So, anyway, fear is not the path to the dark side, or at least that's not, the only path. So there are many other ways that fear can direct you. It's maybe more of a, I don't know, fork in the road.